Greetings, all you exiles out there, and welcome to Undeclared Bajor, a Star Trek Deep Space Nine rewatch. Season 2. My name is Fletcher. About to say hello is Data.
Hi.
Today, we're going to recap, discuss, and rate Season 2, Episode 18, Profit and Loss. That is the title of the episode, right?
Yep.
Okay.
It made it hard to Google it because that means a lot of other things.
That's a common phrase.
Yep.
Alternate title, Quarka Blanca.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep. Sorry, that one's pretty obvious.
Yep. Good call. It talks about in the wiki article that it's like, yeah, so basically the first version of the script was way more Casablanca, and the original title was in fact Here's Looking at You.
Oh, nice.
So the producers eventually decided to change some of the more obvious references as well as the title to avoid potential legal problems.
I mean, it's still pretty obvious, but I mean, did she have like a husband in the original draft or something?
I have no idea. It doesn't say.
And was she like married to Hogue? A quick note on spoilers in case our rewatch is your first watch and you don't want to be spoiled. Expect full spoilers through this episode, but we'll only do an appropriate minimum of minor spoilers for later in the series. Nothing too big, like that episode when they finally get rid of that smell that's making all the Bajorans wrinkle their noses.
Wow. It's kind of racist, I feel like.
I'm sorry to our Bajoran listeners. There's no hatred or malice in my heart. I just saw that movie. Did you see Knock at the Cabin yet?
No, I don't plan on seeing Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, okay. It's just, there's a line, because they're like, you're targeting us because we're gay, and Dave Bautista's like, no, there's no hatred or malice in my heart.
Just gotta kill you guys. Sorry.
Yeah. Or I have to make you kill each other, or whatever. Anyways, I don't know. I'm not going to spoil that movie. But actually, as we've established many times on this show, all spoilers for everything but Deep Space Nine are totally on the table. So just be warned.
Yep. Sorry, it sounded to me like you said be mourned. And I was like, oh man, Mourn's coming to get you.
Be mourned and be warned.
Yeah.
This episode originally aired March 20th, 1994. It was written by... I didn't put the writer on here.
According to the wiki, the writer is Flip Cobbler and Cindy Marcus.
Huh. Okay. And directed by Robert Weimer?
Yeah, one of those is how you say that.
He's got some next-gen episodes under his belt, looks like. The Night Train to Kathmandu.
I missed that Next Generation episode.
No, that's looks like a movie starring a very young Mila Jovovich. Or Jovovich.
Well, several episodes of the television series The Adventures of Superboy. Okay, so none of his episodes of The Next Generation are exactly the greatest ones. I mean, Parallels I like. Masks, not exactly.
Masks, a not very well-liked episode in general.
Who Watches the Watchers, also not on my favorites list.
Oh, Who Watches... I like Who Watches the Watchers. That's the one where they go to the Proto-Romulan planet or whatever, and they start worshipping Picard.
I think they say Proto-Vulcan, but yeah.
Okay.
Same thing, right?
Yeah. I like that episode.
I like the title of that episode. Also, Data's Day is one of his episodes, and that's the one where Miles and Keiko get married, so...
Oh, yeah, I kind of like that episode, too. But again, he's the director of these episodes. I think we like...
director.
I think our opinions of these episodes are probably more based on the stories than the direction. Anyway, so, in this episode, Deep Space Nine is approached by a distressed Cardassian ship in what feels like the last 30 seconds of a much longer scene. As they seem to lose life support, Sisko allows them to dock.
It is a weird scene because it's like, as it's coming into view, yep, definitely Cardassian. And I'm like, can you really not tell until you like look at it and you're like, oh, yep, see, it looks like is it a ship that you don't have in like your Starship registry?
It looks like a small private craft or whatever, so.
Well, and I feel like they weren't sure what size it was going to be because then Cisco goes, bring it into docking bay 3. And I was like, you're not bringing that into the docking bay. I mean, they end up docking it at what I assume is the docking bay or whatever.
The cargo bay.
Yeah, cargo bay is what he says. Sorry. And
yeah.
I was just like, I feel like you weren't sure when you wrote that, like how big this ship was.
That's a good point. I think, it feels like the writer imagined the ship would be in the cargo bay.
Yeah.
But whatever. They go to, so they go down to the cargo bay to meet the ship's occupants. 3 Cardassians who introduce themselves as Professor Natima Lang and her 2 students, Raquelin and Hogue. She claims their ship was in a meteor storm, so O'Brien gets to work repairing their ship. But I gotta say, why even lie?
Yeah, I mean, all it does is look bad. You know, as soon as they start fixing it, they're going to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they just need to get their foot in the door long enough to...
Like, once we have rooms on the station, they can't kick us out as easily, so...
Yeah.
Natima Lang, played by Mary Crosby, daughter of Bing Crosby.
Okay.
Aunt of Denise Crosby from The Next Generation.
Oh, wow.
And, in her own right, famous as, spoiler, the person who shot JR on Dallas.
Nice.
Yeah.
I didn't know Denise Crosby was related to Bing Crosby.
Apparently.
That's a new fact for me.
Yeah.
So in Quarks, Garrick and Bashir are having dinner and debating history and the ethics of conflicting loyalties. Bashir brings up the subject of Garrick's mysterious past, which is fruitless as Garrick deflects with a bunch of vague riddles, as usual. Odo strolls into the bar to tell Quark he's heard Quark acquired an illegal cloaking device, and to give him the standard "I'm watching you" speech.
Really, I feel like it begs the question of why the cloaking device is illegal in Bajoran space, because, like, we know that the Federation has a treaty with the Romulans that says they can't develop cloaking technology, but I doubt that the Bajorans have that same thing, so it's like, why aren't they allowed to have any?
I mean, who knows where the Bajoran legal code came from?
That's true. They might just be, like, copying some Federation laws, hoping to get in there.
Or they could have just been like, so, like, murder, bad, robbery, bad. How do we feel about cloaking devices? Make them illegal. Let's just not mess with it. I don't know. Suddenly Quark sees Natima and her students walking on the promenade and bolts out to talk to her. Despite the fact that she greets him by slapping him in the face and walking off, Quark tells Odo this is the happiest day in his life.
Yep, not to be put off, that Quark.
Yeah, he's Yep, God love him. Quark runs after them and is told in no uncertain terms that Natima wants nothing to do with them, alluding to a complicated past. Regardless, he drags them back to the bar, like literally, physically. While he excitedly makes Natima a drink, Quark explains to Odo that Natima used to live in the station and describes himself as the love of her life.
It's just such a Quark moment when he's like, come on, I'm going to get you guys drinks. And then he brings Natima a drink and the guy's like, hey, where are our drinks? If you want drinks, go to the bar.
Bar's right over there. Is this the first time we've seen the Sumerian sunset or whatever?
Maybe. Hold on. Let's see if it mentions it in the wiki, because I feel like maybe we saw it on Next Generation before this, but I'm not 100%.
Oh, you're right. It could have been on Next Gen also.
Okay, so according to this, it does appear on Next Generation, and I was pretty sure that Troy got one on Next Generation. It's in the episode Conundrum. Let's see if and that is before this. That's a season 5 episode. So Data has to make her a Sumerian sunset in the traditional style after he loses a game of 3D chess to her.
Okay.
And I guess that's the one where he becomes bartender, because at that moment stuff happens.
Yeah. That's when they don't know who they are or what their jobs are or whatever.
Yeah, I think so.
Somehow these podunk aliens erase their memories.
Yep. The aliens with super crappy weapons technology, but they've got good memory erasing.
Yeah.
Trick you into doing our dirty work for us technology.
Kind of in the realm of those aliens that had the perfect duplicate technology.
Yeah, exactly. Those aliens we saw earlier. You can just make an extremely perfect duplicate and nobody can tell the difference.
So there's just aliens out there that have just one really good thing they're good at.
Yeah.
Which, believable, I guess. Okay, so Quark attempts to catch up with Natima. Bashir and Garrick come down the stairs. Natima becomes panicked, seeing another Cardassian on the station, and runs off.
Apparently for good reason.
Yes, this is definitely a well-deserved reaction. O'Brien comes to Ops to report to Sisko that Natima's ship was damaged by Cardassian disruptor fire, not by a meteor storm. A moment later, Natima shows up to ask for her ship. She explains that this is a Cardassian political matter, and her students' lives are in danger if they get caught by the Cardassian authorities. And if they die, so will the future of Cardassia.
Which we care about so much.
Yep. After the commercial, she clarifies that Raquelin and Hogue are important leaders of a movement trying to end military rule on Cardassia. Having been spotted by Garrick, they fear their presence on the station will soon become known by the Cardassian authorities. Quark shows up to Garrick's to buy a dress for Natima. While showing Quark the dress, Garrick speaks in a Byzantine series of riddles, the main point of which seems to be that association with Natima and her students could turn out to be very dangerous for Quark. Quark buys the dress anyway, and this is a cool scene.
After Garrick randomly rips it, and
Yeah.
then he's like, yeah, okay, fix that, and then I'm going to buy it.
Yeah, I'll buy it. I expect it to be, like, sewn up, though.
Although I feel like it's unclear in the end if Quark actually only pays the asking price for it, or if his offer of, like, 3 times more than the asking price for no particular reason is going to, like, stand.
Was it? It was 3 slips more, not 3 times more, wasn't it?
I thought he said 7 and Quark countered with 20, but
I thought he said 17. Maybe.
Okay, hold on.
We'll have to go back and look now.
Find the answer to this. Let's see if it.
Do I have the episode still open? I do.
I'm heading there, but I've got commercials, so it doesn't mention amounts in the wikis. So.
There's not a separate Wikipedia or Memory Alpha entry for that one dress.
No, it doesn't seem like there is, unless it's not linked from this episode, which would make it impossible to find because where else would it be linked from?
Quark says, "What do you get for that?" Garrick says, 17 strips of Latin.
Okay, so I just misheard the 17.
Ooh,
Gotcha.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you 20. 20. How uncharacteristically generous for a Ferengi. Just one businessman trying to help out another. You know, I like scenes between Quark and Garrick.
Yeah, you know what? So do I.
I think they're an underutilized combo. Is there an episode where Quark and Garrick go on an adventure together? I would love that.
I don't know, actually.
But I can't remember ever seeing that happen.
No, I don't think they spend too much time
I feel like if that episode existed, it would be one of my favorites. So I'm going to say it doesn't exist.
The only other thing that I remember with the two of them off the top of my head is their discussion about root beer.
Oh yeah. It's gross and sweet. And
I googled like Quark and Garrick to see if there's something with them together, and the first question on Google is, are Garrick and Bashir dating?
Depends on who you ask. Quark goes to Natima's quarters, where we get a quick rehash of their relationship. So it seems that Natima saved Quark's life by shielding him from the Cardassian authorities when I guess he sold food to the Bajorans.
Yep.
Then they had a month-long passionate romance, and then Quark betrayed her trust by using her personal access codes in some kind of scam, which she didn't take well.
Yeah, no, shockingly.
Yeah, understandably. Don't do that. Especially if it's like the love of your life.
That is a betrayal of trust.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's just like, what? They had plenty of money. They could give me some. It's not really the point, but...
Yeah, so I think you're misunderstanding the complaint here.
But it is very Quark. And the thing is, this whole relationship and like his determination that he's in love with her and stuff does not seem that Quarky.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the things about this episode to me is I think he does a good job trying to sell it, but we've never seen anything in Quark up to now indicating that like this is the sort of thing he's interested in.
Yeah, and well, he never like really articulated what it was he was in love with about her.
It's true.
And also given previous conversations about like what is the perfect Ferengi female or something.
Yeah, and we definitely discussed that at the time, where it's like Quark claims that he wants this traditional Ferengi thing, but we never see him pursuing that in any way. We do see him like hitting on non-Ferengi women all the time and talking about like, Jadzia and how amazing she is. So it's just like, what do you actually want, Quark?
True. I mean, if he's into Jadzia, I think it actually kind of tracks. He might be into this lady too.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
And then also there's the lady that we saw that one time, who I think it was implied was an ex-girlfriend of his or whatever, who was like a starship smuggler or whatever. I forget her name, so I'm just going to drop it right now. So Quark says, I love you, let's get back together. She says, no, what I'm doing is too important. Also, I don't love you. A Cardassian warship shows up at Deep Space Nine, and Garrett goes to Commander Sisko. He just shows up in ops, like everybody just apparently can.
Yeah, this was one of the like more egregious random people showing up in ops events.
It's like just you'd think Odo would be like, okay, we're gonna keep an eye on these Cardassians, but it's like, no, just let them into ops, whatever. So Garrett comes in.
I mean, Natima does the same thing like earlier in the episode, doesn't she? Like they're discussing the seat that they were really attacked, and all of a sudden, like Natima and her students are just up in ops.
Yep. Garrick advises Sisko to turn over Hogue and Raquelin to them, and Sisko is basically like, hell no. Quark finds Hogue and Raquelin in his bar and offers them his illegal cloaking device to help them get off the station, if they can convince Natima to stay behind with him. They agree. Quark shows up in Natima's to deliver the cloaking device, but she pulls a gun on Quark and makes a counteroffer of, how about I just take the cloaking device for free?
Yep.
Quark tries to call her bluff and she shoots him, but he is fine since it was only on the lowest setting.
Quark is real good about not dying when he gets shot.
Yeah. How many times has Quark been shot? I mean, he's a lucky man.
Yeah, it's really working for him. And also, I like that she's just like, I've never shot one of these things. I barely touched the trigger.
Also, I'm not clear if that's a phaser or a disruptor, but...
That is a Cardassian disruptor, which she calls a phaser.
Yeah, well, several people call it a phaser.
In fact, I looked at this earlier because I wanted to, even before I got to the point where she calls it that. So it is a Cardassian phase disruptor pistol, sometimes identified as a Cardassian phaser.
Okay, so is it like a cross between a phaser and a disruptor, or?
I'm not entirely clear on the mechanics of what differentiates a phaser and a disruptor in the first place.
Is this like some Memory Alpha like fan cannon or something to explain this calling it a phaser?
I don't know, maybe. One interesting note is that the trigger is on the top and you hit it with your thumb.
Oh, I did not notice that.
Yeah, me either.
But yeah, Natima becomes apologetic, and then they begin embracing and reminiscing about the time he painted her face with honey and stuff, which that sounds not pleasant.
And then a bug got stuck there.
Yeah. But apparently it was a grand old time when her face was just like coated with honey and a bug was stuck on it trying to escape. I don't know. I guess you do weird things when you're in love or something, but don't put honey on my face. That sounds gross.
I'm trying to look up what the difference between a phaser and disruptor is now.
I hate getting honey like on my fingers.
Honey is so like it's hard to get off.
Yeah, it tastes
completely
good, but I don't like it on my skin.
Yeah. I don't like it on anything. I don't want it landing on the table because it's annoying to get off the table.
It's so annoying. And it's like, it always, like, I eat, sometimes I go to Chick-fil-A, which is not a sponsor of this podcast. So don't go give them. If you're a representative of Chick-fil-A and you want to sponsor this podcast, I'm totally into it. But I don't care that you're not open on Sunday. But I do care very much. Please stop doing that. But yeah, I get their chicken biscuits. I always get them with honey. And no matter how hard you try, the honey gets like onto the table. It's so annoying. Anyway, Natima finally gives in and says she'll stay. But then Odo shows up and arrests Natima. It seems the Bajorans made a deal with the Cardassians to give Natima and her students up in exchange for some Bajoran prisoners.
Which it was established earlier in the series that they weren't supposed to have any more Bajoran prisoners. They just more of them keep popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Garrick is working in his shop when a Cardassian officer strolls in. How he got on the station is not explained.
I assume he's from that ship, and now that they're going to have a deal, that they're all more friendly.
Okay, so they're like, okay, while we negotiate this, let's, send this guy over to talk to you.
You guys can come on, hang out at Quark's, use the holosuite, whatever. We're friends.
Maybe. I would be like, this would be an Odo alert times 10. Like, I would, and if this guy went into Garrick's shop, I would like.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
First of all, I would have like. During this Cardassian political situation, I would have nonstop surveillance on Garrick's shop. Like, I would have security officers writing down who goes in all day. But this guy is Gul Turan, apparently known to Garrick, who enjoys verbally dunking on him all the time.
I mean, I feel like a guy who doesn't want to be exiled any longer, he maybe should be more polite to people. But he doesn't seem to have made a lot of friends during his time as a whatever he was.
Right.
Because we've yet to meet anyone who likes him.
Yeah, who is...
Like any Cardassians.
Yeah. So Garrick asks him if he can come home to Cardassia as a reward for snitching on Hogue and Raquelin. Turan is like, no, but you can go home if you murder them.
Which, yeah, that's...
Which, like, you were already getting them back.
Yeah. It's really bold to be like, okay, so we set up a deal. Everyone was happy. I think we're going to go ahead and murder them before the deal goes down. That'll really help the situation somehow.
But I mean, again, you could imagine, like, because we've seen there is some conflict between the civilian leadership and the military leadership. Maybe the military is afraid of how it would look if they executed these people in their custody, so they're just trying to arrange this, more clean solution or something. I don't know.
I feel like after you've revealed that, yes, we still have Bajoran prisoners we can trade, which we're not supposed to have, like, you've already let something out of the bag that you're going to have to resolve now.
Yes.
So it then being like, nah, never mind. Oh no, they died in your custody. I guess we'll keep these Bajoran prisoners. Like, there's no way that this ends positively after you've, like, broached that topic already.
Yeah. I mean, although, in real life, governments, one hand just doesn't always know what the other hand is doing. Like,
that's true.
Do we shoot down the spy balloon? Do we not shoot down the balloon? Who knows? In
the end, yes, you shoot down the balloon.
I was certain they wanted to capture that balloon intact, and that's why they didn't shoot it down. But I guess they just shot it down, so whatever.
What I kept hearing was like, oh no, when it falls, it will damage stuff on the ground. Can't shoot it down, so they had to wait till it was over water and then shoot it down. But
yeah. Oh, I thought they were going to, like, try some sneaky thing, like, fly up to it with a special airplane and rope it in or something.
There's got to be a way, right?
Apparently they just shot it down. Anyway, that's not related to this.
No, not really.
Tangentially, I guess. But Quark goes to Odo's office to beg for the life of Natima, making all kinds of dubious offers. Like, he will rat on all of Rom's sinister plans.
Yep.
Which, for some reason, Odo doesn't find that appealing.
Yeah, he's like, there'll be no secrets between us. I will tell you about every scheme, every blah, blah, blah. And, like, Odo's looking more and more interested. And then, of course, like, that my brother Rom is involved in. And then Odo's like, wasting my time. There was one funny note in here about this scene where Odo's reading, like, a detective novel that it says that he borrowed from Chief O'Brien or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But you can clearly see the image on the pad of a wooded forest and a medieval castle, because they are reusing the same pad that was used in If Wishes Were Horses when O'Brien is reading the Rumpelstiltskin story to his daughter.
I did Google that book or whatever. I don't know enough about the plot to know why they felt they needed to reference it in this episode, but nor will I probably ever or read it anytime soon. But anyway, Odo finally says, okay, I'll do it for justice.
Yeah, nothing you said had any effect on me, but I was already thinking about it anyway, so...
Which is a little, like... It seems a little... For Odo to just, like, go against the Bajoran leadership like that.
Yeah, just
A little
letting
bold.
prisoners out because he doesn't personally agree with it is a little bit shady.
Yeah, well, whatever. And then, of course, Quark takes that to mean he doesn't owe Odo anything.
Except for a hug.
Yeah. Which is not welcomed by Odo.
No, it's a great line reading by Rene Auberjonois there, where he's just like, let go. Like, he puts so much like disdain into his voice right there. I really liked it, actually.
Nice. Yep. So Quark, Natima, Raquelin, and Hogue run to their ship, where they are quickly greeted by Garrick with a gun.
Yeah, he's just standing in the airlock when they opened it to go to the ship, and I was like, man, he knew that Odo would let them go and was prepared when they showed up at their ship. I'm impressed.
I actually think he just kind of deduced, like, they're gonna escape or something, but whatever happens, they eventually have to come back to their ship. So,
well, I mean, not whatever happens, because if everything went to plan, then they would just get handed off to the Cardassians, and he would completely miss his chance to kill them because he's waiting in the airlock.
True. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe he's keeping an eye on the jail or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, he's all like, I'm gonna murder all of you now so I can go home to Cardassia.
And Quark is just such a wuss. Like, he's got his phaser pointed at Garrick.
Just shoot him,
Garrick's
man.
just like, nuh-uh. And then he lets Garrick take his phaser away. Or his phase disruption
phase
pistol.
Yeah. But then Gul Turan busts in and is like, no, I'm going to murder everybody. And Garrick does not get to go home to Cardassia.
Why did I get Garrick involved in this in the first place? Who knows?
Who knows? He takes away Garrick's gun, and then Garrick just shoots him with the gun he took away from Quark.
Yeah, that was a good bit, actually, where he takes Garrick's gun and he like goes on his monologue, and then all of a sudden he just gets shot, and it's like, oh right, Garrick had that other gun.
Yeah. I begin to see why Garrick does not have much respect for Turan, if this is his level of scheming.
Yeah, it's just so random in some ways, because, like, yes, why did he go and get Garrick involved, and then how did he know that they escaped? Was he waiting out that other door, and did he let them all talk for all this time and then stroll? Like, did he just follow Garrick to wherever Garrick was going to wait and then waited nearby that? Like, I don't. It's so weird, and he doesn't deserve any respect. Clearly,
No.
I like Garrick's just like. He's like, it's Gul Turan, and Garrick's like, wow, they made you a Gul? I had no idea they were so desperate.
The best I can figure is that he knew he wasn't smart enough to be able to get the drop on these people, and he needed Garrick to kind of like set it up first. He's like, I'm gonna let Garrick do the hard part of this, and then I'm just gonna keep an eye on him and then swoop in at the last minute.
Yeah, okay. Which is, I think, giving Garrick more credit than he deserves, because as we established, he didn't do anything to engineer like the escape, which is the actual hard part of the situation. Like, getting them out of prison so they don't just get handed off to the Cardassians, that's the tricky part. And he apparently, as far as we know, had no plan and no hand in that part of it.
Okay, hear me out. Here's a pitch. So Garrick wants to put the idea in Odo's head to let them go. So he engineers a situation where O'Brien lends Odo a book. Because I don't know what the plot of this book is. Maybe the plot is about a jailer who lets go some people or something like that. And then Odo thinks like, you know what? I am going to let these people go. Or something. I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
I'm doing a little bit too much. Yeah, we have to read the plot of this book.
Yep, I'm going right now. So it's a Mickey Spillane book, the first work to feature private investigator Mike Hammer.
Good name.
Called to the apartment of an insurance investigator, Jack Williams, a close friend who was crippled, saving Hammer's life during shared World War II military service. Okay, so he's seeking vengeance, and then he likes the girl, but then the girl also gets killed, so now he's double revenging. There's a drug ring. He confronts the killer and keeps his promise killing them in the exact same excruciatingly painful way that they'd killed his friend. When the dying murderer asks Hammer how he could act in such a cruel manner, Hammer replies, "It was easy." All right. I don't think that this is... No.
So, okay, maybe not this, but I do like to imagine that Garrick... Somehow everybody is like pieces on Garrick's chessboard and they don't realize it. Anyway, with Turan dead and no chance of getting out of exile, Garrick is like, okay, I guess you guys can just go then. Quark and Natima share some tearful goodbyes. After she's left with her students, Quark asks Garrick why he helped them. And he's like, you mean, why did I kill the guy who double-crossed me and then not go through with the deal that the Cardassian command obviously had no intention of honoring? It's because I love Cardassia, obviously.
Yeah, that was a weird response where he's like, I love Cardassia. And Quark is like, I don't understand what you're saying at all.
Yeah, I never understand what you're saying. But the two head back to the promenade together, musing about the nature of love. The end.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. I feel like stuff kind of stopped making sense at some point in that episode, but...
They're just like, we need to get to the end. Let's... I mean, honestly, not remembering the episode super well, like, when you get to the point where she pulls the gun on Quark and is, like, going to take the cloaking device, I was like, I feel like we're at the end of this story, and how long is left in this? And it was, like, still 20 minutes left in the episode. I was like, where else is there to go, honestly? And I feel like that is, in a way, where things stop making sense, because that's shortly after when Odo shows up to arrest them for no reason.
It's in that scene. He just shows up at the door all by himself. He's like, okay, you're under arrest. He doesn't have any like security guards with him or anything.
Why are we under arrest? Because the government has decided to trade you. Not because you've committed a crime that we can arrest you for, but because the government is like, go ahead and grab them up so that we can trade them.
Yep. Which, if I was Odo, that might not sit well with me either. So
yeah,
maybe that's it. Maybe it's such a blatant. So Garrick knows Odo's love of justice, and he knows this is just such a blatant defiance of real justice that he knows Odo will let them go eventually.
So this is it's all based off Casablanca. Does that make Odo like the Nazis, or
I don't know. Well, Odo obviously would be the police, the crooked police guy, the guy who's shocked that there's illegal gambling happening here or whatever.
Sure, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Isn't he the guy that Rick walks off with at the end also?
I don't recall it that well. I saw the movie once and I didn't enjoy it, so.
Yeah, I would have to review this movie, as in watch it again.
I have to review the movie. I'm going to like put up a review for this movie that I haven't seen in years. I'm not going to watch it again though, because that's a different kind of reviewing.
This is not a promise of a review of the movie Casablanca. So yeah, my one note here is this episode definitely reinforces the what we talked about earlier, that Cardassians love to talk.
Yeah, of like the two Cardassians. The two male Cardassians that we see in the episode, I guess like Hoger or Kellen, I don't remember which is the male, but Garrick and who's it's dead guy, they sure do like talking.
Yeah. Like if Garrick would have just like opened fire as soon as they came into that airlock, it's like it would be all over.
Yeah, it's true.
And then that guy would have come in and Garrick probably would have just killed that guy too. And then Garrick would have been like...
It's really such a great conversation that I wouldn't have wanted to miss with between Garrick and Quark. And at some point, Quark's like, oh, wait, you're going to kill me too?
Yeah.
It was like, really? Where have you been, Quark?
Yeah, we have that... Garrick tells him his personal motto, which is don't let sentiment get in the way of your work, which sounds like a rule of acquisition.
It does.
In fact, I'm sure it is a rule of acquisition in a slightly rephrased form.
Right.
I'm not going to look for it, though.
It's probably like half of the rules of acquisition or don't sleep with the boss's sister. That's basically the same thing in a more specific format.
Right.
Never allow family to stand in the way of opportunity is number 6. So.
Yep. I think we had that one already also.
I am pretty sure. It's from the Nagus. So yeah, we definitely saw that.
But Garrick definitely has not seen the movie The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, where which has the famous line, "If you're gonna shoot, just shoot, don't talk." It has the scene where the guy's taking the bath, and this other guy like busts in and points a gun at him, and just goes on this insane monologue about like why he's getting revenge and all this stuff. And then the guy in the bathtub just like shoots him with the gun he had hidden in the bath. He was like, "If you're gonna shoot, just shoot, don't talk."
I don't know. That other guy might have killed Garrick if Garrick had killed all those guys. So maybe it worked out better for him.
Maybe. I think that guy was so stupid, Garrick probably could have got the best of him. But
Yeah, because that guy definitely would have come in talking. So
yeah. Everybody would be dead, and probably Garrick just would not be able to go home still. But this episode actually reveals a lot about Garrick. Like,
yeah,
it confirms he's not working for the Cardassians.
well, not like full time or anything.
Yeah. But he has no problem like snitching to them or whatever, as we've seen him do in previous episodes.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that he still has like contact with the government.
Yeah, and he's not in good with them. He's in exile, so he is not there by choice.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like he is kind of trying to weasel his way back into the good graces of the Cardassian command.
Yeah,
so,
he seems to miss home. Is what
Yeah.
I'm getting. He's like, even as nice a place as this.
Yeah, he does. He does seem to consider himself a loyal Cardassian. What that means personally to him,
Yeah, that's true.
we may have yet to find out. But so in an interesting way, it's kind of a Garrick episode more than a Quark episode.
Well, it's more of a Garrick episode than we've gotten before, I will say for sure. But I mean, it's definitely emotionally centered around Quark and his extremely selfish love for this woman.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that even when he's like, "I love you so much," it's like the most selfish way that he could love someone.
Uh-huh.
It's like, where not only do I want you here, I don't care what you want. I'm going to try to like set up a scenario and trick you into having to stay.
Yeah, that whole plot actually was kind of scummy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Quark love story. I don't know what you could expect any better.
Because yeah, he was basically going to I don't know what you would call it, not exactly extort, but basically trade on the lives of her students to get her to stay.
Yep.
And then I guess his plan after that was to just continue trying to needle his way into her heart or something.
I guess it's supposed to be okay, because after she shoots him, we find out that she really does love him after all.
Sure.
So it's all okay.
I mean, if this is a woman who's had an affair with Quark before, I guess this isn't her first time around. So
yeah, that's true.
Maybe they're made for each other, who knows? And I did like the line, this actually had a lot of lines that I liked in it, but I liked the lines like, "All I have to do is wait for Cardassia to become a free and democratic society."
Good times.
Yep. And there was another line I really liked. It was when Quark is holding them all, or not Quark, but Garrick is holding them all at gunpoint and going on his big monologue. And then she starts trying to debate him. He's like, "Madam, I'm not here to debate you. I'm just here to, like, elaborately, like, monologue about my intentions."
There are some really great lines, like mostly Garrick. Garrick's, "I'd hate to ruin such a nice suit." Or what's the other one else? After he kills the guy, and he's like, "Well, some people should never be promoted."
He's a master of the like action hero one-liner, apparently. The James Bond style.
That's very James Bond style. Good point. It's not Arnold Schwarzenegger action style. More definitely like Connery Bond.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Or a Pierce Brosnan type.
Yeah. Okay, I could give it to like Roger Moore or Brosnan. Sure. Maybe not Daniel Craig, but
I feel like Brosnan had a ton of those.
I think you're probably right. Apparently, during the filming of this episode, there was a major earthquake in Southern California. It struck at 4:30 in the morning, which a lot of the people, especially the people with extensive makeup, had a call at 5 a.m. So people like Armin Shimmerman and Mary Crosby are in and Andrew Robinson. They're in makeup at this point, having their makeup applied so they will be ready for their 5 a.m. crawl.
Uh-huh.
And so in the middle of getting their makeup put on, there's an earthquake, a 6.7 magnitude earthquake. And Andrew Robinson is quoted in here saying that all the power went out, and these people are in various stages of makeup in the darkness, all these weird looking people, and they're all trying to contact their family. And a couple people like Armin Shimmerman could not get a hold of their family on the phone. And so they just jumped into their cars and drove home to make sure that everything was okay. And so he's like, imagine being like a motorist driving around in the wake of this earthquake, and all of a sudden you look over and there's like this Ferengi in the car next to you.
Wow.
He says, I think that would be more bracing than a cup of coffee.
I would definitely start questioning things if I saw that.
And the director is quoted as being like, it must have seemed like the bowels of the earth had opened and those creatures had come out. Which, that's a little bit dramatic, but... Yeah.
Those creatures that we all know live in the bowels of the earth.
Right, exactly.
I was thinking when watching this episode, because every scene was like those three actors, especially, like Quark, Garrick, and the Natima.
Yeah.
I was like, there must have been a lot of, like, every day must have been like a heavy makeup day or something.
Yeah, probably.
Then you throw in Odo.
Oh, that's true. I'd forgotten about Odo.
Yeah, so everybody was just having some makeup.
One other thing in here that it was interesting to me. Ira Stephen Bear does not like the episode because he feels that Quark comes across as too heroic.
That's a weird complaint. But
Bear
okay.
says that there's enough heroic characters on the show, and this should have been like a Beauty and the Beast type story, where Quark resembling Woody Allen. He says, I felt like we didn't need another tough, sexy, swashbuckling character on the show. Quark did not come across as tough, sexy, or swashbuckling. I just got to throw that out there.
Yeah, I have to disagree with pretty much his entire evaluation of this.
We had enough of those. We needed more offbeat, interesting characters.
I think Quark came off as self-centered and doing whatever he could to help this woman that he was in love with or whatever.
But only like when he thought he could get something out of it, basically.
Right.
Like it's hard to be sure that he would have helped her if he didn't think that like he was going to be able to arrange the situation so that she would have to stay with him.
Yeah, I did not feel there was anything altruistic about what Quark was doing. It was all Quark helping Quark.
So yeah, that's the stuff from the wiki this week.
There's no novel about Natima and Hogue and...
So it didn't mention it here, but I did go to look at Natima Lang's page to see if there was a novel. And she does show up in a couple of novels post the run of the show, basically. And depending on which like alternate timeline thing you ascribe to of these novels, she becomes like the leader of Cardassia, or she becomes like she goes back to teaching and is still a popular political figure and may become a future leader of Cardassia. It's like it's kind of weird.
Yeah, it seems like she definitely would, like any novel that deals with like the future of Cardassia, she's just a natural character to include in there.
Yeah.
So I believe it. Okay, how would you rate this episode?
I think
Profit and loss.
I think this is going to be another one that goes into the category of you know what? That's pretty good. I liked it. It's not like, standout great or anything, so it's definitely going to end up being another lieutenant commander for me, which I feel like my lieutenant commanders are getting real heavy this season. But it's in that same layer of like, I liked it. I came away being like, yeah, it was a pretty good episode. There's a lot of fun stuff in there, but it's not like great.
Mm-hmm. So where you want to put it on the list then?
I'm debating whether I liked it more or less than Necessary Evil. That's where I am.
Oh.
I'm going to put it under Necessary Evil and above the alternate, I think is
okay.
Where it would go. I mean, it's a Garrick. it's a Garrick thing though, and I do love Garrick, and we find out it's got some good Garrick stuff.
So are you reconsidering?
I'm considering reconsidering.
Okay.
I was thinking about it from a Quark perspective, But from a Garrick perspective, it probably deserves a little better than that. Okay, fine. I'm going to move it up above invasive procedures.
Ooh. So, you know what? I think I have to give it a full commander, even though it becomes so nonsensical towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
It just, like you said, Garrick always elevates.
Yep.
And I like it. Like, it has some fundamentals that I really like. The episode takes place entirely on the station.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a wacky, like, sci-fi premise. Not that I hate, like, when sci-fi stuff happens, but it's a purely, like, political, character-driven, especially, like, Bajoran, Cardassian.
Yeah.
It's very in the realm of our station. I love it when we stick to all that stuff. Story's pretty good. Like you said, the romance, I was not sold on it at all. So, I have to definitely dock it for that. But, always got the Garrick fun. So, I'm going to give it a full commander.
Mm. Its
main competition, in my opinion, is Whispers.
Okay.
Which is like the opposite of, well, not really the opposite, but Whispers is really more of a concept episode.
It's very high concept. I will give you that about Whispers. Yeah. I'm
putting it under Whispers. I think I just like Whispers more.
Okay.
So I'm putting this as profit and loss. And I have to give, I don't know if I said this already, but this title kind of works.
No, yeah, this title is maybe the most appropriate title.
Yeah.
Rules of Acquisition, Melora, those are pretty spot-on titles. But without going that far into, let's name the episode after a character in the episode.
Yeah.
This is one of those that if you just read it, it seems like kind of airy and like one of those that like Armageddon game where you're like, how is this even gonna?
Yeah.
But then what the episode is actually about, you're like, no, this fits.
Yes.
So I appreciate that.
Like you can tell right away it's gonna be some kind of Ferengi episode.
That's true. If they mention Prophet, then yeah. As long as it's not like Prophet with a PH, then you're like, oh my goodness, it's gonna be like one of those.
Prophet versus the Prophet.
Ooh.
That would be a cool title. So good work, whoever titled the episode. It fits the episode. It's not too on the nose, and it works on kind of multiple levels. So,
yeah,
great job.
I think probably one of the reasons I could not go as high as full commander is that this is another one of the episodes, which is a lot of season 2, where in hindsight, I'm like, this is a really forgettable episode. Like, I don't remember this one much at all before we watched it, and I probably won't remember it that much tomorrow.
Yeah, that's probably fair. And like, as I've noticed, like doing these reviews, it's like you never quite know what details are going to stick with you.
It's true.
And whether it's going to be the ones that you liked and the ones you didn't like. So sometimes, you'll watch something, you'll be like, that's pretty good. And then like the stuff you liked about it kind of fades from your memory. And the stuff that you didn't like about it kind of like shines through more, or vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, but right now I'm pretty up. Even though all the complaints we had about it still stand, in my opinion. So final thoughts before we tip on out.
More Garrick. This episode demonstrates that we need more Garrick.
Yes. If the Deep Space Nine writers from 1994 are listening to this through a time tunnel, please put more Garrick in the show. We demand it.
That's like 30 years ago. That's unpleasant.
That is, yes, 29 years ago. Kind of crazy how time passes, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, apparently the guy who played Hogue in this episode was in an episode of The Next Generation, but not as Hogue.
Sure.
So,
was he a Cardassian?
That's a good question. I mean, it's very easy to do it if you're playing different characters, right? Or different races.
I mean, there's so many people who have the same story where they've played 20 different.
You could play like
makeup roles.
You could play so many different alien roles, and some of them have they play different alien or different roles of the same species. Like Marco Lamo is at least 2 different Cardassians. So
yep. Or in the case of Brent Spiner, you can just play your whole family.
Yep, just keep playing members of your own family all the way back to like the 1900s or however far back it goes.
Yep.
He played Goval on. In fact, that is the first thing in his IMDb is playing Goval in The Next Generation.
That sounds either Klingon or Vulcan.
Goval is one of the Borg drones loyal to lore.
Oh.
Oh, yeah. Okay, he's like the stupid Borg drone. I remember.
Okay, well, if you've made it this far, thank you for listening. Be sure to check out the description where I occasionally put links to interesting things. And I do have fun coming up with things to put down there, so go check it out. I'm Fletcher, about to say goodbye as Data.
Peace.
And remember, every once in a while, declare peace. Like that.
Yeah.
It confuses the hell out of your enemies.
That's why I did it.
I'm so confused.